Naya Rivera, July 8th, 2020, Lake Piru, California. It's a perfect summer afternoon. The sun is warm, the water is cool. For Naya Rivera, the 33-year-old actress best known for her role as the sharp-tongued cheerleader Santana Lopez on Glee, it's a day off with her 4-year-old son, Josey. They had initially planned a barbecue, but on a whim, they decide to rent a pontoon boat. Around 1 p.m., they leave the dock. Just another mother and son enjoying a day on the lake. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. The boat is due back around 4 p.m., but 4 p.m. comes and goes. No sign of the boat. The rental staff grows concerned. A search begins. Around 5 p.m., another boater makes a chilling discovery. The rented pontoon boat is drifting aimlessly in the middle of the lake. On board, fast asleep and wrapped in a towel, is little Josey, wearing his life jacket. The adult life jacket is on a seat, unused. Of Naya, there is no trace. When investigators gently wake the boy, he tells them a story that sends a shiver down everyone's spine. He says he and his mommy went swimming. She helped him get back on the boat. But when he looked back, she was gone.
Huh?
He saw her disappear under the water after she called for help. Lake Piru is not a friendly lake. It's known for its cold water, sudden, strong currents, and dense underwater vegetation that can easily entangle a swimmer. Naya was an experienced swimmer, but she wasn't wearing a life jacket. For 5 agonizing days, a massive search operation scours the lake with divers, sonar, and helicopters. Finally, on July 13th, her body is found floating near the surface, brought up by the natural process of decomposition. The autopsy confirms she died of accidental drowning, likely within minutes of going under. The most painful part? The authorities believe she used the very last of her strength to push her son back onto the boat, saving his life but leaving none for herself. A final, heroic act of a mother, followed by a slow, silent, lonely death in the deep, dark water. Kianna Underwood, January 16th, 2026. The early morning hours in Brownsville, Brooklyn, are cold and dark. For 33-year-old Kianna Underwood, a former child actress who once graced the screens of Nickelodeon on shows like All That and voiced characters on Little Bill, life is a world away from the bright lights of Hollywood. She's just left a local bodega, a simple errand before the city fully wakes up. It's just before 7 a.m. The streets are still quiet. Visibility is low. She steps off the curb to cross the street. What happens next is a blur of brutal, mechanical violence. A vehicle, moving too fast, strikes her. The impact is immense, but it doesn't end there. In a horrifying turn of events, she isn't just hit, she's caught, dragged underneath the car. The ordeal stretches for 2 city blocks. It's not a single, instantaneous event, but a prolonged, grinding horror of scraping and crushing. Some reports even suggest she was hit by a second vehicle. The drivers don't stop. They just keep going, leaving her broken body behind in the street. By the time help arrives, it's far too late. She is pronounced dead at the scene from catastrophic blunt force trauma. The NYPD's Highway District Collision Investigation Squad takes over, but the case is a difficult one. A hit and run in the pre-dawn darkness. No immediate arrests are made. The news sends a shockwave through those who remember her as a bright-eyed kid on their TV screens. The irony is sickening. A young woman who brought laughter and joy to millions as a child, associated with the wholesome, light-hearted comedy of Nickelodeon, dies in one of the most violent, brutal, and anonymous ways imaginable in a rough neighborhood. Her death isn't a single moment of pain, but an extended nightmare of physical destruction, followed by the ultimate indifference of being left to die alone on the cold pavement. Dominique Dunne, October 30, 1982, West Hollywood, California. Dominique Dunne, at 22, is on the cusp of stardom. As Dana Freeling in the blockbuster horror film Poltergeist, she's a fresh, recognizable face. She comes from a prominent Hollywood family. Her father is the writer Dominique Dunne. Her brother, Griffin Dunne, is also an actor. That evening, she's at her home on Rangeley Avenue, rehearsing for a TV role with fellow actor David Packer. Her life seems to be moving forward, especially since she recently ended a turbulent and violent relationship with her ex-boyfriend, John Thomas Sweeney, a chef at the upscale LA restaurant Ma Maison. But Sweeney can't let go. Just a month earlier, on September 26th, he had attacked her, grabbing her by the throat and choking her. A friend who was present heard loud gagging sounds. Dominique ended the relationship and moved out, but Sweeney's jealousy and control only escalated. That night, he shows up at her house. Despite her history with him, she agrees to speak with him on the porch, a decision that proves fatal. Packer, still inside, hears shouting, then a sickening smack, and the sounds of choking. He calls the police, but by the time they arrive, it's too late. Sweeney is standing over Dominique's unconscious body in the driveway. He had strangled her for several minutes, depriving her brain of oxygen until the damage was irreversible. She is rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but she never regains consciousness. She is in a deep coma. For 5 days, her family holds on to a sliver of hope. But on November 4th, they make the agonizing decision to remove her from life support. Her organs are donated. The pain for her family is compounded by the legal aftermath. Sweeney is convicted not of murder, but of voluntary manslaughter, and serves only 3.5 years in prison. Dominique's death is a slow-motion tragedy, a story of ignored red flags, a second chance given to an abuser, and a final, brutal act of violence that silenced a promising young star just as her career was beginning. Anissa Jones, August 28, 1976. Oceanside, California. To millions of TV viewers, she was Buffy, the adorable, pigtailed twin on the hit sitcom Family Affair. But by the time she was 18, Mary Anissa Jones was desperate to escape that image. The show had ended 5 years earlier, and she found herself typecast, struggling to find serious roles and dealing with a difficult home life. On the night of August 27th, she's at a party at a friend's apartment. It's a night of reckless abandon, a desperate attempt to feel something other than the weight of her past fame. Throughout the night, she consumes a lethal cocktail of prescription and recreational drugs. It's not a single, impulsive act, but a pattern of escalating substance abuse that has been building for years. The next morning, she is found unresponsive in the apartment. Emergency responders are called, but there's nothing they can do. She is gone. The coroner's report later reveals a toxic mix of cocaine, PCP, Quaaludes, and Seconal in her system. The coroner, a man who has seen countless tragedies, describes it as one of the most severe overdoses he has ever witnessed. This wasn't a quick, painless exit. The combination of powerful stimulants, dissociatives, and sedative hypnotics would have pulled her body in a dozen different directions at once. It implies a period of extreme respiratory depression, cardiovascular collapse, and prolonged agonal breathing before death. It's a slow chemical shutdown of the body's most basic functions. The image is haunting. The archetypal sweet, blonde child of 1960s television dying on a stranger's apartment floor, surrounded by pills and an unidentified vial of blue liquid. Her death wasn't a single event, but the final, agonizing conclusion of a long, slow-motion fall from grace, a painful struggle against the shadow of a character she could never outrun. Jayne Mansfield. June 29, 1967, U.S. Highway 90 near Slidell, Louisiana. It's the dead of night, around 2:25 a.m. Jayne Mansfield, the buxom, blonde bombshell and one of the biggest sex symbols of the 1950s and 60s, is in the front seat of a 1966 Buick Electra. She's traveling from a nightclub appearance in Biloxi, Mississippi, to an early morning TV interview in New Orleans. With her in the front are her driver, Ronald B. Harrison, and her boyfriend, Sam Brody. In the back seat, her 3 children, including a young Mariska Hargitay, are asleep. The pre-dawn highway is dark. Visibility is poor, allegedly made worse by a truck spraying a thick fog of pesticide to kill mosquitoes. Suddenly, Harrison comes up on a slow-moving tractor-trailer. He doesn't see it in time. There's no time to brake, no time to swerve. The Buick slams into the back of the trailer at high speed. In 1967, trucks didn't have the mandatory rear underride guards they have today. The car slides directly underneath the trailer. The top of the car is sheared off like the lid of a sardine can. The three adults in the front seat are killed instantly. The cause of death for all three is massive head and body trauma. Early reports and a persistent urban legend claim that Mansfield was decapitated, but the undertaker later clarified that while her head injuries were severe, her head remained attached. The shearing effect of the trailer on the car's roof caused catastrophic cranial and facial damage, a near instantaneous and unimaginably violent death. Miraculously, the three children in the back seat, who were lying down, survive with only minor injuries. They are shielded by the lower part of the car. The tragedy is so gruesome that it leads to a change in traffic safety regulations. The steel bars now required on the back of semi-trucks are still known today as Mansfield bars. Her death was so horrific, it literally reshaped the hardware of our highways. Sharon Tate, August 9th, 1969, 10,050, Cielo Drive, Benedict Canyon, Los Angeles. Sharon Tate, a 26-year-old actress whose star is on the rise after her role in Valley of the Dolls, is 8.5 months pregnant. She's at home with three friends: celebrity hairstylist Jay Sebring, writer Wojciech Frykowski, and coffee heiress Abigail Folger. Her husband, director Roman Polanski, is out of the country. It's a quiet, peaceful evening in the secluded upscale neighborhood. Shortly after midnight, that peace is shattered. Four members of Charles Manson's cult, Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian, creep onto the property. They cut the phone lines and storm the house. What follows is an orgy of sadistic violence. Watson shoots and stabs Sebring. Frykowski and Folger manage to escape the house, but are pursued and brutally stabbed to death on the lawn. Inside, Tate, heavily pregnant, is forced to watch. She pleads for the life of her unborn child, even offering herself as a hostage if they will just let her live long enough to give birth. Her pleas are ignored. She is bound with a rope, tethered to Sebring's body, and stabbed repeatedly. The forensic testimony later reveals the full horror. She was alive when they attempted to hang her, and the rope burns on her neck and face are consistent with this. She suffered 16 stab wounds, many of them to her chest and back, penetrating her heart and lungs and causing massive internal and external bleeding. This wasn't a quick murder, it was a prolonged, ritualistic slaughter. Dr. Thomas Noguchi, the famous coroner, testified that the sheer number of wounds suggested a frenzied, repeated attack, not a single fatal blow. Her final moments were not just a fight for her own life, but a desperate, failed struggle to protect the life of her unborn son, an ordeal of unimaginable terror and physical agony that came to symbolize the violent end of the 1960s peace and love era.